Hello. Today we're going to do a video on Ruckus Zoneplanner. So Ruckus Zoneplanner is a predictive modeling software that's used to model designs and layouts for Ruckus access points. So we're going to make a few assumptions today. We're going to assume that you already have Zoneplanner and that you have it installed. And then the second assumption slash recommendation is I'm going to recommend you go to the NetAdmin.us website, and under the wireless tab, if you'll click on there, you'll see a section for Ruckus Zoneplanner. In here it tells you how to add antenna patterns to the Ruckus Zoneplanner. It'll also tell you how to create AP templates, which you'll need, or make it a lot easier for you to do. How to adjust your wall attenuation losses to some best practices. Adjusting the signal strength meter inside of Zoneplanner, which we're going to do through this demonstration, and changing your color palette, which I'll show you inside this demonstration. So please go through, look through these documents, and perform these steps. And this is kind of a pre-design setup, and you only have to do these one time. And this gets Zoneplanner prepared for all of your future predictive modeling. All right, so back to Zoneplanner. So once you have your antenna patterns entered in, you've created some AP templates that we're going to show you how to use. The first thing you need to do is you need to create a new project. So you can go here to the little icon wizard, or you can go to File and New Project, either way. So we're going to call this test project. You can change your directory of where you want your projects to go. Click next. So we need to import a floor plan, and I'm just going to import just a floor plan that I have. Alright, so you have to import a floor plan, and then you can give your dimensions if you want to here, or you can do it inside of Zoneplanner. I always like to do it inside of Zoneplanner, it's a little bit easier. Click next. You can choose these options right here. If you notice, these options will change your propagation and your default power, which is not that big of a deal for us because all that's going to be set on our access points, and it's going to be stuff that we're going to configure with our AP templates. So you can pick whatever, you can make a choice here, or you can leave it by the default. That's up to you. We're going to go to next. You can put a descriptive text in here if you want. I'm going to leave that blank. We're going to go to finish. And now we have our floor plan layout. And it's asking us that the dimensions were left to the defaults. Do we want to change this? So yes, we want to calibrate now. And yes, I want to calibrate. So I'm going to click on one side and drag it over to the other side. And then I'm going to put in my known actual distance. And I'm going to recalibrate and say OK. And now I'm going to check a different known distance. So I'll click on my measuring mode up here. And no, I do not want to calibrate after this one. Then I want to go across here. And that's a good distance. All right, so now we have our measurements in here. So now we need to create walls. So up here, you have to create a wall. We're going to select that. That's going to give us our options here. So you have different kinds of wall options, and these dB measurements here were changed in one of those documents that we talked about off NetAdmin. So the outside of this is going to be brick. So we select our wall type, then you bring your cursor over, you click one time to start. You drag down to where you want to change directions. You click one time to to place right there. You come down. We're going to keep doing this, clicking one time at each direction change. When I get to the end, I'll double click. Now I have a wall. Then I have a metal door that goes from here, and I want to make sure my walls connect. Anytime I do a different wall pattern or a different wall type, I want to make sure that the walls connect. Alright, so you need to go through here and do all of your wall types, and I mean all of them. So you'll want to go through and select every single wall in here. You can do doors if you want to, but I'm not a big fan of doing doors. I usually just draw a wall over the top of them, because a drywall and a wooden door are roughly about the same dB loss. So you'll want to go through here and populate all of your walls. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and I'm going to switch to a drawing where all this has been done, and then we'll continue on from there. Okay, so I have a fully drawn out floor plan here of all my walls are drawn in, everything, my measurements are done. So at this point, I want to actually add an access point. So I'm going to go up here to my access point, and I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to bring it down here, and I'm going to go to where my access point is, and I'm going to place my access point. And in here, get my cursor back, select my access point, right click on it, and I go to AP properties. So inside of my AP properties, I'm going to name my access point. And then right here is where I'm going to select the AP template that I've already created. So this is an R700 or R710, excuse me. Notice it sets my transmit power and my antenna patterns for 2.4 and 5 gigahertz to what we set them for. Then I'll say OK. Now I can right click here. I can lock this access point into place. I can make this my default access point if I want to, and from that point on, every access point that I add will be this model. Since I have two different models, I'm not going to lock it as my default access point. I'm going to put in my second access point, go to its AP properties, rename it. And this one's an R700. So now I've got two access points. Now at this point, I'm actually ready to begin my predictive modeling. So the first thing I want to do is, like we talked about adjusting signal strength. So I want to take my meter over here to the side, and I want to move it up to -65, because that is the minimum that I want to do for this project. And then I'm going to go up here to the refresh button. It's the little blue and red arrow in the circle. I'm going to click this, and it's actually going to calculate my signal strength. So now I have my signal strength showing up here. So I don't really care about 2.4. I care more about 5 gigahertz. So I'm going to uncheck the 2.4 gigahertz. And now I have the propagation pattern for my 2.4, or for my 5 gigahertz propagation map. So as you can see, I've got pretty good coverage area. If I want to see what it looks like with one access point removed, I can open this up right here, and I can, let's just say I'll turn off the bedroom access point. Now you can see just the propagation of just this access point in the office. All this area out here, well, say maybe I want to know what this coverage is. If you click out here, it'll stick a pin there, and it'll tell you what your signal strength is at that point. So this is a way you can help figure out what your signal strength is at different points. All right, I'm going to turn my access point back on, and now I have my signal map. So this right here is the basics of predictive modeling. So I've put access points out, I've created my walls. Disclaimer here, predictive modeling is no substitute for a real-life survey. Now this is a good starter. This is a good way to figure out how many access points you'll roughly need. It's a good way to figure out where your access points need to be placed and what kind of coverage you're going to get. So when you get them all put up, you have a good baseline to go out and do a walkthrough survey and make sure that you're getting what it says you're getting. So once you have this, so maybe you want to go and you want to move some access points around and see how you get some different patterns with access points located in different places, but you don't want to start all over again. So over here in your plans, if you right click here, you can create a new plan, or I can just save this plan as, call it new model. So now I have a whole new floor plan where I can go in here and I can actually move around access points. And I can refresh. And now I see the predictive modeling for this layout. So this is a pretty good way of building out new designs without having to start all over again, having to draw your walls out and all that kind of fun stuff. So once you've done all this, you have the nice predictive model done. Now you want to actually, you can display it. From here you can screenshot this, paste it into a Word document, do some kind of a presentation for a customer. You can also adjust out your signal strength inside of this view as well. We also can do reports. So from the reports, you have your report planner. If you double click the report planner, it'll actually create your report for you. And this will take just a couple minutes to actually run through. So I'm going to pause, and when it gets done, I'll start back up. All right, so my report has completed, and as you see, you can go up here to the top, and it's 16 pages worth of information. Gives you a list of your access points and their types. Gives you a map of their locations. Pretty easy to see where the access points are located. Great information. Gives you a breakdown of their signal coverage. It also goes into channel interference. It goes into your PHY data rate. It goes into your throughput. It goes into operating mode. All of these things are not useful information from this predictive modeling. The reason is by default, if you'll notice that all of your access points over here are channel 1 for 2.4 gigahertz and channel 36 for 5 gigahertz. So guess what? You're going to have channel interference. Your throughput's going to look really good because there's nothing in here. So a lot of the parts of this report are meant for a real walkthrough survey, not predictive modeling. So what I do when I create all this is I actually save this report out, or I export it. You can go up here right here and say export report. And you can export it into Microsoft Word is what I do. If you like crystal reports, you can do that. If you want to do HTML, you can do that. There's several options here. I do Word, it's a lot easier. Export that out, edit out the parts of the report that I don't want, and then I have something that I can present to a customer. All right, so the Ruckus Zoneplanner, I'll go back to the display. Ruckus Zoneplanner is based off of Air Magnet Site Surveyor Pro. The parts that you have access to are reports, display, planner, and multi-floor. You don't have access to survey, as you notice right here, and you don't have access to simulation or multi-view or the diff view or Airwise. So if you want the actual ability to do a walkthrough modeling survey, real life active survey, then you need to buy Air Magnet Site Surveyor Pro or a program like Ekahau or something like that. So that is the fundamentals of creating a predictive modeling inside of Ruckus Zoneplanner. I hope this video has been useful, and have a wonderful day.